You ready to go, Joel?
Ready when you are.
I'm ready.
Whoop, that was my fault. Ready?
He hit the wrong button. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Episode 8. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Eat, Sleep, Install, Repeat podcast. I am your host, Rudy, and as always, today I'm joined by Joel Hilditch. How's it going, Joel?
I am doing good. How are you?
Good. And returning back on third mic, we've got Jared.
Hi, guys. Good to see you again.
How you doing?
Doing all right.
How's your Monday morning or Monday afternoon going?
It's proven to be a Monday, just like the rest of them. Nothing's changed, so I'm not afraid.
How was your weekend?
It was great. It was very busy and productive, so very, very good.
Good.
Joel, how was your weekend?
You had some work to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about my weekend. My dashboard's completely out of my car. I'll put a picture of it up. Heater core, not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're kind of hurting now, aren't you?
Hurting pretty bad. My shoulders, getting in and out of the car like this, and yeah, not great.
All right, well, let's get into it. This episode of the Eat, Sleep, Install, Repeat podcast is sponsored by Legrand. In this episode, we'll be spotlighting some of their top brands, including Luxul, Sanus, Chief, Middle Atlantic, Da-Lite, OnCue, and Vaddio. These brands offer cutting-edge solutions for AV installations, whether for home, office, or commercial environments, providing integrators with reliable, high-performance tools. This episode is also sponsored by Davis Distribution. Davis is a regional wholesale distributor that has a passion for bringing success to custom install shops and installers. We service customers in Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky, Maryland, Virginia, Southern New Jersey, Delaware, and D.C. Our company offers a quality selection of consumer electronics, including 12-volt audio and video, navigation, tint, home, audio, video, and various accessories for residential and commercial custom install markets. There you go. Today, we've got a good episode planned for you. We are very excited to have Chris Kovacek, Director of Channel Sales for Legrand AV. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Apparently, I'm better than Jared. Don't believe it's just another Monday. So thank you for having me. I hope I can.
He threw you under the bus right away.
It was a good, productive, challenging Monday, as they usually are.
Yeah, some of our best.
I hope I can live up to the hype of being a good person to interview. So no pressure. Thanks, guys.
Well, I mean, given your background, right? You were kind of telling us about that a little bit on radio, so.
Once upon a time, back in my youth.
Yeah.
Do your best radio introduction.
Oh, yeah, throw under the bus. Let's see. Wild 93.9 Kiss FM, Lima, Ohio, today's greatest hits. How's that?
There you go. That's perfect.
The timbre of the voice.
That's what we're trying to get to doing this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you can give us some tips afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
So the first time I met you was actually at a Davis Road show, where you were giving a training on Luxul products. So is networking kind of where you got started in this industry, or what did it kind of go back further than that, or?
Oh man, I got started way back in the day in car audio and 12 volt. Back when IASCA and USAC were big. I actually won IASCA finals way back in the day, like in '95. So I'm dating myself there. I worked for a small retail shop who was one of your guys' customers in Lima, Ohio, Berry Electronics. I worked in 12 volt there, got into home audio video, owned my own integration company for a while for home audio and pro audio stuff, and then moved into distribution. So I worked at a competitive distributor of Davis in Indiana. Well, you guys weren't in Indiana yet, so I guess it didn't matter. But worked in distribution for almost 10 years and went from there to manufacturing. I worked for a manufacturer for about a year and a half before I went into Luxul. And I worked for Luxul as the Eastern Regional for them for a couple of years before Luxul was acquired by Legrand, at which time I transitioned into the role I'm at now.
Yeah. And so going from like Luxul to Legrand, that kind of you had to sort of branch out into other brands, right? So you had to learn a lot of extra stuff, I would say.
Luckily, yes, you're right. And luckily, the brands that I carry, I actually carried in distribution. So I sold Sanus, and I sold Chief, and I sold Da-Lite, and I sold Mid-Atlantic.
So you were
So I
semi-ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, I knew the product, and because of the fact that my company or the distributor that I worked with was in Powerhouse Alliance, I knew a lot of the people, nationally and larger distributors. And when I went to work for Luxul, I started selling to Powerhouse Alliance. So a lot of the guys were my friends, became my customers, and I had a good background with the product. So I went from one brand to now 8, and working the eastern half of the United States to being national. So, a lot of it, I guess, could seem like a big change, but luckily I had the background that went with it. And, I'm blessed to have customers not in Powerhouse and outside of Powerhouse that I do consider friends.
For the agenda on this, this episode, we're kind of going to go over some of the individual brands that kind of falls under Legrand, because you guys have a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff that you guys can offer the installer. But before we do that, would you be willing to kind of go into the company as Legrand and kind of give a broad overview of it, just so people can maybe understand a little better?
Sure. I mean, if I can remember all of them.
Okay.
Yeah. First, obviously, we can start with Luxul, networking company, way back in the day, and Luxul's a networking company designed strictly for AV and AV integration. It's not a computer networking company that fits into the space. So, I make the joke I bleed green because I was one of the founding 3 salespeople of Luxul. So, got a lot of background there. Sanus, they've been making premier mounts and solutions for a long time. They are the only third-party company in the United States that is endorsed by Sanus. That's how good they are. They have some other partnerships along the way. In my opinion, bang for the buck, they make the best mount out there. Chief is another mount company that is owned by Legrand, and Sanus and Chief, are kind of one and the same. Chief is typically considered the higher end, or like your commercial side of the mount world. They make everything from multi-tile displays, projection screen mounts, and everything. All of it's great. It's considered a little bit higher end piece. You have Mid-Atlantic. I have never heard anybody tell me that Mid-Atlantic doesn't make the best rack on the market. They make racks and every single accessory. And you say, I got a lot of brands. I got a lot. Mid-Atlantic catalog alone is enough to make you want to, scream. But they make every solution out there, and including office furniture and a lot of stuff, a lot of government and educational process behind Mid-Atlantic. Then you have Da-Lite, screen manufacturer. Da-Lite is, in the commercial world, probably the number 1 screen product on the market. And when they got into the residential world, they have some really cool products. Still fighting for market share, just like, because there's so many new screen companies out there now. But Da-Lite makes a very good product, actually out of Warsaw, Indiana, and everything is, made to order there. So it's a very cool company with a good history. You have Vaddio, which is a camera company, I guess is how you would call them. Really came to light. They started making solutions for other camera companies because they got tired of USB extenders. So they made some creative solutions for Sony and Panasonic, and that's how they got started. And now they make a lot of conferencing solutions and camera solutions for high-end residential to commercial to house of worship, but located out of Minneapolis. They're the only company that makes a pan-tilt zoom here in the United States. So pretty cool company to work with.
We got OnQ too.
Yeah, OnQ.
Yeah.
How can you forget OnQ? OnQ, plastic widgets, keystones and electrical plates. But I guess in my sales pitch on OnQ is simply this: we can talk keystones and the production behind them, but what really matters is we're owned by Legrand, and Legrand is the largest manufacturer of electrical outlets in the country,
Wow.
and our keystones match our light switches and outlets. So when you're building that house as an integrator and you put in light almond, it actually is light almond to the light switches and the electrical, which is a big deal, as silly as that sounds. But when it comes to infrastructure, OnQ offers every product from back boxes to any type of insert you want. So they really do have it covered. So I think that's it.
That's a pretty good overview, I think.
Yeah.
Do you want to turn the mic over to you? Do you want to start kind of going down through each one of those and kind of sharing some of the stuff that you're excited about for this year?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I was going to let Jared guide me. I mean,
Jared, guide him in.
Okay.
We could
Where
start
you wanna
off with
start,
your
Jared?
alma mater, Luxul.
If we're going to talk alma mater, I was going to go Ohio State and college football and
Okay.
everybody, which is going to totally derail this conversation.
Yeah,
But
because
You
Oregon.
sure you want to talk about this weekend?
Oregon?
you know what? I'm willing to talk about it. 1 point on the road, number 2 team in the country, and we really screwed ourselves.
Yeah,
there. We
that
just-
slide, you mean?
That was on us. All right, Luxul. Let's talk about Luxul.
Well, there are some new parts from Luxul coming out right now, right, Chris?
Thank you, Jared, for that segue. Luxul has come out with some new products for 2024. Wi-Fi 6. We've released the access point, the AP3064, which is our first Wi-Fi 6 access point. It is the lead into many more pieces that are to come with it. Everybody has known about Wi-Fi 6 for a while. Heck, some companies even have Wi-Fi 7 out. But there's a reason that Luxul has always been kind of, I don't want to say late to the game, but really very pragmatic in their approach, because there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes in the world of Wi-Fi as far as standardization and as far as even frequency licensing and that kind of stuff that we're seeing happening to 7 right now in the background. So this new 6 product, same high power transmitters that we've always had, which is the highest power transmitter that we can put in there legally by the FCC, so we get a ton of range. All the Wi-Fi 6 protocols, so it helps with roaming. It's a smaller footprint. It's an aluminum black backplate built in now, so no more heat sink. So the mounting bracket has been modified to give a lot more versatility. And you know what? It is paintable even. So if you don't want white, you can paint it. Some people, that's a big deal. Then the new switches rolled out in May, June timeframe. The 505, 515, and 615 series. We get into managed layer 2, layer 3 switches. And again, these are things that are designed for the AV industry. So we work with partners like Just Add Power and Vanco and URC and RTI and all these different companies to make sure that we are compliant with their products, so that when the integrator needs to use a product for those, they can rely on Luxul as being the backbone. We've also just showed at CEDIA a new GUI interface for the switches that is coming out at the end of this year. That GUI interface, there's a live demo on our website, is going to make integration a lot easier for the small guys who don't have an IT department. So they can literally send one guy out in the field and click 3 buttons and actually set up a managed switch to work with Sanus or to work with lighting or to work with some video with Dante. So we've taken a lot of the programming out of programming a managed switch. So we're pretty excited about that. Luxul is also very famous, 3-year warranty, the customer assurance program where they design the wireless network for you at no charge. There's a lot of things that behind the scenes that go into Luxul, making Luxul. So pretty excited about where the company's headed now. We had a rough couple of years coming out of COVID. I don't know if you guys heard, there was this pandemic that came around. It hit Luxul pretty hard. West Virginia, never heard of it, right?
We're so spread out here.
We're in the mountains.
Yeah.
Moonshine cures all, man. You don't get COVID with moonshine. But yeah, so we're pretty excited about where the company's headed. We'll release some new products at the beginning of the year with some more outdoor stuff with Wi-Fi 6, and then we've got a new router coming along the way, and then we'll start a new series of switches. I've heard on the roadmap, and don't tell anyone, but 10 gig is coming.
Ooh.
You just piqued
You
Jared's
just
interest.
told everybody.
We'll bleep
Oops.
that out.
Nah.
Definitely relieved about Wi-Fi 6. I wasn't aware that the newest switches would be Just Add Power compatible.
Well, to your credit, they were not until literally, I believe, last week. I got the update saying that they're pushing firmware now. So they'd released final testing. So we should see the firmware update roll out if we haven't already. I haven't checked this morning.
Very cool. Definitely let me know.
Can do.
And you said the new GUI interface rolled out already?
No, the new GUI interface on the switches rolls out at the end of this year.
Okay.
But there is there's a demo on the website.
Right. Okay. Live demo.
Yes.
We
You
can
actually-
link that down below.
And so you said that will make it easier for smaller shops to be able to kind of do a little bit more integration and everything like that?
Yeah, so typically, if you've sold a customer as a dealer, a TV and a couple pieces of Sonos or whatever wireless audio it is, that's a two-person job. You've got one guy who specializes in mountain TV, and then you send somebody out to work with the switch because of Sonos. So if we can make that switch capable to literally check boxes, like I'm using Sonos speakers, check, here's what port I'm going to plug into, check, and you only have to send one guy out, that's great for the integrator. Assuming you don't need the second person to hang the 98-inch TV. But taking from a time-saving standpoint, from programming that switch, and a manpower standpoint of having to have a second person, somebody who's either great at TVs or great at IT. We don't need the great at IT for this kind of job now. We can take that liability off of.
I know with Sanus, you guys have a couple new mounts coming out as well, or just released?
Yep, just released Thursday, I think they went live. The VLF 828, the 626, maybe the 424. I don't quote me on the last one. The 828 is the new 45 to 90 inch with shift. So the three models, the 828 being the largest, have vertical shift. The 828 of 8 inches, so you can move up or down 8 inches. So perfect example if you've got to get that panel above or below a mantle, and you only have a certain area where you can put the mount, but you need to drop it. You don't have to order a mount specific, for that application. This particular mount will allow you to move up and down up to 8 inches. And the medium and small go from a 6-inch vertical and a 4-inch vertical as well. So those hit last week. Available, I'm assuming, as soon as they're in stock in all our distribution partners' warehouses, which will be very, very soon. We've also released a couple. We've got a new extra large mount and a new, I don't know if we're calling it the double XL mount. It will hold up to a 130-inch TV at like 275 pounds. It's ridiculous. So yeah, a couple. The 828 by far stole the show at CEDIA with the vertical shift adjustment.
Definitely a game changer. Definitely.
Yeah, especially at the pricing. I mean, it wasn't a big jump up in pricing from just a standard articulating arm. And the fact that, it's, if you haven't seen it yet, it is on the website as well. There's a T handle that literally kind of comes out from the bottom of the panel. And you just twist it up and down to move it up and down. And then the T handle hides out of the way when you're done. So, even the end consumer can move it up and down if they want to drop it for, a movie night or something. It's not a big adjustment. It takes literally seconds to do.
I was going to say, and that T handle, I think I saw that too. That T handle kind of makes it easy to be able to move it around and reposition a little bit too.
Yeah, if you want to leave it down and exposed, you absolutely can.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. Yeah, then you don't have to put your hands on the screen because I know my articulating TV has fingerprints on the top left corner from where I push on it and move it all the time. But yeah, absolutely. It can be used for that. And as every other Sanus mount, it's got full wire and cable management. It works with all the OnCue or Sanus back boxes. It's got the accessory mount. You can put, sound bars on them, various styles. So it comes complete with everything that all the other mounts do. You just have the addition of the vertical shift adjustment.
And what was I think there was another one that I saw in the CEDIA follow up too. Was it Chief that with the back box built in already? Yeah,
Chief tile and Chief, and of course, right off the top of my head, brain freeze. But yes, so Chief has come out with an option basically with. We call them buckets, and it's a metal can that fits in between the studs, and they can be linked over the stud. So what it does is give you the ability to have that entire stud bay, that 14.5 inches wide, of access for pieces and parts and whatever you need to hide back there, whether it's, a one direct box or a switch or power conditioning or whatever it is. And then you have the ability to make the rails adjust from any pattern that you want. So you can go down to the smallest face of pattern up to the largest. You can also even skip bays. If you've got a large panel and you want to use, say it's covering 3 stud bays, you can use 1 and 3. You don't have to use the middle one, and you can still put your mounting brackets on there. You have a 10 degree, I believe it is, tilt, And then you have the ability to pull this unit out up to 10 inches for serviceability. And then you can do left and right tilt because it uses a scissor arm, much like the VDLT 17, the 4-dimensional tilt. It's not quite as giving as that. Like I said, you only get 10 degrees of tilt, but you do get the left and right, and you get the accessibility for service. So now you don't have to send 2 guys to a job site, to pull that massive panel down. You can pull it out and you can get behind it and work on everything that's behind it. Mm-hmm. Did you also see the cart from Chief?
Yeah, the fit cart, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I never have sold carts in my life until recently. I didn't know they were cool until I was told they were cool. But apparently, and we've all seen them. I never know what. And back in my day, they had a CRT TV and a VCR. They wheeled in and out of each room
with the strap on top.
I was going to say that a big strap across.
Well, we didn't have the strap back then, and we weren't. We didn't have safety back then. We rode backwards in cars. Okay, and,
no seatbelt
truck beds. Right. But now,
what about the projector for the clear slides?
Oh yeah,
the overhead.
Yeah, the overhead projector. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Like that. No, we can go down nostalgia road all day long.
This nostalgia.
Yeah. So the fit cart, and a lot of these carts, you see them in hospital environments. You see them in educational stuff. We see them in houses of worship. They're expensive, and they're good for a reason. I mean, they don't tip over. They're have good casters. They move around. They're sturdy, and that's what a good cart is. And Chief has produced nice carts for a long time, TAA compliant, so they're eligible for government funding and educational funding, that kind of stuff. And the fit cart came out and is literally a third of the cost of just about every other cart out there, and has the functionality still and has the Chief build behind it. So it has actually been doing extremely well. It has surprised me. I am now a cart fan. Never thought I'd say that, but pretty excited that they're bringing an offering to the line that is a little more reasonable in cost. So it's opening up that market to where Chief wasn't able to fight before.
It seemed like all the carts on the market were astronomically priced for some reason, and dealers are always after best bang for your buck with something that's going to be robust and they don't have to worry about.
Yeah, and I think every dealer goes through this. I mean, every dealer. I mean, I've done it as a consumer. We try the least expensive option, or maybe one of the lesser expensive options, to see if it'll fit our needs. And then when we realize it doesn't function or work, as well as what we had hoped, we end up going back, if we have a second time, and buying better. So people that have experience with Chief know that Chief has a great reputation in performance. They don't make subpar products. They just simply don't. And the fit cart fits gosh, that's a bad pun, fits the bill. I didn't even intend that. That was just, ooh, that's right there. Yeah, so I'm very happy about this because we were presented, with the carting solutions and stuff. And I said the same thing. I repeated that, most carts out there, they're just, I don't understand why they're so expensive.
Yep.
Well, and this one seems like it has, when you think of a cart, it's basically just a TV on wheels, but it does seem like it has some features too, like the, being able to move around easily, because a lot of touch stuff's coming in, right? So, if they need to adjust the height for someone shorter, taller, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a shelf that I think holds up to 10 pounds. So most, type of whatever you're putting on there, whether it's a Blu-ray or whether it's a hard drive or a laptop, whatever signal, content you're trying to, should fit there. To your point, it's easily adjustable. It moves around when you're pushing it. It doesn't feel like the TV is going to tip over on you. So it's very well designed. It's very well thought out. And I'm watching, I keep track of this because it's a new product and they're doing very well.
How many you want, Jared?
Yeah, I mean,
Two?
we use a cart in our
I was gonna say we
Knowledge
use
Fest booth.
Yep.
Email me after.
Okay, all right.
I'll take care of you.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of missed some of those Sanus stuff because I was fixing the camera, but I apologize.
That's
I
quite all
didn't
right.
realize that you needed a battery. I thought you were just saying we're good.
Yeah, the battery on the camera died. So
I wondered why I had a black screen that said utility for a minute there, but to be fair, I'm at a Marriott on their Wi-Fi. Anything's possible.
Where are you at right now?
I am in good old Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
You're right by us. All right.
I was close. I waved
Okay.
as I drove by.
That's
You could have just stopped in and we could have just done this in person.
Yeah. Trust me, didn't think I was going to be in Pittsburgh today.
Oh, right.
There anything you like to do when you're in Pittsburgh? Anything you like to eat, or not a city you usually go to, or?
You know, my experience with Pittsburgh is mainly limited to the powerhouse events.
Yeah.
So every year we go to, was it Primanti Brothers or something like that?
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to admit that I enjoy that sandwich, but that is definitely not on my daily my menu of things. So no.
Yeah.
I'll take a good sushi recommendation if anybody's got one though.
I don't know.
Pittsburgh.
I know Barstool. Do you follow Barstool Sports at all? The One Bite Pizza with Dave Portnoy. You watch those at all? That YouTube channel?
I've seen a little bit of it, but I don't follow it.
He was just in Pittsburgh, and he gave 3 or 4 pizza shops high reviews, like high,
like in
scores.
the 8s.
Yeah, in the 8s, which is pretty high for him. So I don't know. Maybe we could look those up, and we can get you over some videos.
My problem is one day I hope to look like Jared does in a T-shirt with the guns and the chest and everything. So I can't eat pizza all day long anymore.
Do you eat pizza all day long, Jared?
I do. I got it from Ninja Turtles. Yeah, it works.
Did you really?
It works. It works.
We just tell everyone to go to Primanti's.
Yeah.
I get that once a year.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it's a giant sandwich.
They just put one
fries
in
and coleslaw.
They just put one in like where we live, and we go there a lot.
Yeah.
I probably gained 10 pounds.
That's how much you go there?
We go at least once a week now.
I digress. Maybe we should go on the Middle Atlantic. I apologize.
All right, let's jump on the map train.
Okay.
Middle Atlantic is a fantastic company. If you don't know, they're based out of New Jersey. A lot of their product, most of their product is actually made there. Amazing racks, amazing cooling, anything associated with the rack. And they've released their new power solutions called Nexus and Nexus UPS and Nexus PDUs. And what we're seeing right now, especially with the UPSs, they're becoming more and more a requirement than an option for a lot of companies because of the work from home atmosphere and the hybrid atmosphere. We've got to have backup systems in place, to continue things because, especially, events like this, we're doing remote, if the power goes out now, somebody's going to have a really rough day. With the UPS, we can hang on to it and, at least resume without a whole lot of pain. So the Nexus UPS products and the Nexus PDUs built like everything else from Middle Atlantic extremely well. They work. They are non-self-sacrificial. They have the best way I can compare them, and I do product comparisons very rarely, but as far as filtration and as far as protection go, they're on par with the best companies in the residential market, which not many people disagree with me when I say this. One of them is Surgex. They do a great job. And I'm happy to say that Middle Atlantic is right there as far as protection, as far as filtration goes. They do offer, in my opinion, a few advantages, I think, when you get down into it. One of those being cost, which is rare to say that Middle Atlantic is, a little less expensive. Usually they're right up there leading at MSRP plunge, but that's because, they're built here and they are built well. There's a lot of good features on them. They are networkable. There is real-time analyzation and data. There's a lot of things that make an integrator's life a little bit easier and make monitoring. I never thought power in a home environment would be as big a discussion it is, but with the onset of, with inflation and rising energy costs, and now we have solar coming in, and we have switching, houses that have switching power supplies, basically. PDUs and UPSs have become an extremely important part of the integration. It used to be the first thing that the installer would write on as a quote, and it would be the first thing that he would scratch off when the end user said, "Hey, this quote's too high. Oh, let's take off this UPS or PDU," and that's not the case anymore because it is vital to performance as electronics are still sensitive to that stuff, and we're seeing more brownouts on bigger cities than we ever have before. And with two-way powered, like with solar and electric being so popular as they are, there's a lot of things that can go wrong and can really mess up the electronics that we're paying a lot of money for. So very excited about the Nexus stuff. It's the next step in power for them, and so far the reliability has been fantastic. I've been, using a couple of their pieces for well, I had them on beta, so it's probably been close to a year now, and I'm extremely happy with them, because usually when I get a product on beta, that means it's going to break 18 times before it works right, and that's what beta's for. But this has been rock solid from the get-go. So.
Is the Nexus line under Middle Atlantic on the website, Chris?
Yes.
And you said that is all of Middle Atlantic's product American made in New Jersey?
Not all of it.
Okay.
The majority
Nexus,
is.
You said?
Nexus is a collaboration of 3 different places, actually. So in Middle Atlantic altogether, we have our facility in Jersey. We manufacture in Mexico as well. And then we do some of our electronics overseas, but it's in Taiwan or Vietnam, one of the two. We don't do anything with China anymore because of tariff reasons, which is one of the reasons during the whole pandemic, Middle Atlantic was affected, but wasn't affected terribly because Mexico and the U.S. were still in production. And, we weren't obviously getting much from overseas from them. So I think they plan on keeping it that way, keeping most of the manufacturing here in North America.
Da-Lite. I'd like to hear about Da-Lite.
Yeah.
Daylight?
Yeah.
Moonlight?
Is
Daylight?
it Da-Lite or Daylight?
Daylight, but it is a Da-Lite
Okay.
to speak about.
Another pun.
Here come the dad jokes. Okay. Anyways, yeah, Daylight, has released a couple new products in recent years. They first started with their light reflection screen, which really was a lot of residential application friendly. So, home theaters have kind of taken a step back to these, a multimedia room where it's not just a dedicated theater anymore. I mean, they're still out there, don't get me wrong, but the volume of it has gone down into, an all-in-one universal room. So a screen that can reflect light, such as parallax, which is the name of it, is extremely important. And it's the coolest demo in the world is the easiest demo I've ever done. I usually just take my phone and turn the flashlight on. And if you set it against the screen pointing down, you can see the picture. And if you simply turn the phone upside down and shoot the light up, it washes out the picture, because there are these tiny little hoods in the screen that are meant to capture light and keep them from bothering the picture. So it's the simplest thing, and it works, and it's amazing. So that screen material has changed, and it's gone in production on about every screen they have. And when they released Sightline, which Sightline is dropping the screen with basically airline cables instead of that massive black backdrop. For example, if you go into a sports bar and they've got a screen, hanging in the middle of the bar, and they've got to drop the ceiling's at 13 feet and they got to drop it to 10 feet. That screen rolls down and there's 3 foot of black masking material up top. Well, okay, that's understandably why you have to do that. But with Sightline, there's an equal amount of black all the way around the screen. And then you have these nice 3 or 4 airline cables, very small metal guide wires that drop from the ceiling to hold the screen. The advantage is, number one, it's just cool. It looks like the screen is floating. But in a commercial application, now you can still see the neon signs for the vendors around the room. You're not blocking all the advertising, and vendors like that. In a residential application, we can drop that screen down and you don't have that massive black drop. So the cosmetic factor is there. Plus it depends, it can be wall or ceiling mounted. And if you can drop, I think now up to 7 feet down or something like that on the smaller screens, and up to the numbers a lot bigger than that on the larger screens. So Sightline and Parallax have been very big in the residential mix. There's also, some for distributors such as Davis, who are supporters of the product. There are also some quick ship models that are distributor models only, where they're guaranteed to ship within 3 to 5 business days. So in today's market, and in screens especially, that's fast. So they're
Daylight
really
is
doing
fast. Daylight is very fast. I actually had a very big order within the last month or two, and not only did they project a great turnaround, they beat their projection.
Was that a pun?
Project a great turnaround.
Maybe a little bit.
I like it. I like it.
So yeah, the service there is just very, very on point. And you've done the cell phone light demo for me in person, and phenomenal. It's the real deal on the
And
Parallax.
what was that demo? What screen did you say the demo you do it on?
It's the short throw.
The short throw. And so you said the screen. Now the material has hoods like micro.
That's what I was going to ask too. Actually, like microscopic or.
Is that,
Yeah, so
did I
the
understand
easiest
correctly?
way, you absolutely did.
Okay.
The easiest way for somebody that explained it to me, the plastic hood that we use on a single gang or double gang box to come the wires out of the wall? It's just a little like a dryer vent hood almost, but it doesn't have any. Okay, imagine that really, really tiny.
Mm-hmm.
And that is facing in the direction to capture the light. So rather than letting the light bounce off the screen, it stops the light from bouncing and holds it there. Wow. And obviously these are microscopic, which is why the technology is so cool. And don't get me wrong, there are other companies that do a very, very similar technology. I'm just trying to explain the way we do it with Parallax.
Right.
So, and when it first came out, it was game changing because of the light reflection. You went from not being able to turn on a light in a room with a projector to being able to have actually fluorescent lighting. We used it at CEDIA, and if anybody saw our display at CEDIA, bright as can be, in the middle of the show floor.
Yeah.
You saw the display at CEDIA?
Yep. I still use the images from your demo to sell that product.
Yeah. So, and Parallax has moved from, you can get it in about every format that Da-Lite sells now, from, freestanding screens to drop down to short thread, everything. So.
Up next, I can't remember what you said before. You said plastic pieces on cue.
On cue?
Yeah.
On cue.
Yeah.
Plastic pieces. Yeah.
Plastic doohickeys.
Huh?
Was it
my boss, doohickeys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Widgets.
Widgets. Yeah.
Yeah. My boss loves it when I describe on cue as plastic pieces.
Uh-huh.
So professional. Yeah, OnCue is basically anything infrastructure. So OnCue has been around for an extremely long time. They go along with anything behind the drywall, and then you have the finished trim pieces. So we have the most popular things lately that we have are definitely the back boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And back boxes have become extremely popular in the last probably 2 to 3 years with integrators. Once streaming became the platform of choice now, we've typically got to hide a switch and either a Fire Stick or a Chromecast or an Apple TV or whatever we've got to hide behind the panel. And I remember seeing many installations with either zip ties holding an Apple TV to the back of a full motion mount or Velcro. I've seen electrical tape. I've seen a lot of things that aren't necessarily great. So the concept of a back box kind of came along as both wire management and now a place to put all the goodies that go behind that panel, because consumers have no problem. Well, most consumers have no problem spending that little bit extra money for that nice Sanus mount that looks pretty and has wire management and has vertical shift. And then they pull the TV out the first time because they're going to, and they're going to look behind it. And when they see just this ball of spaghetti, they're not happy. So integrators are, taking the time, and this back box allows them to put all the pieces and parts necessary, for functionality in there and make it look good. Mm-hmm. And not to mention, it increases their overall sale number. Mm-hmm. So let's be honest. I mean, it is part of business, and it's an addition to the sales. A necessity almost anymore it is, but it's a big part of the sale nowadays. So OnCue back boxes, they make them in 9, 17, 32, 42. They've been making back boxes between metal and plastic for a long, long time, for everything from, networking to back in telecom days, up to 42s. So still out there, great product, tons of different accessories, everything from outlets to grommets to shelving that goes in these back boxes, to reusable plastic clips. So you can put, a 5-port switch in there and tighten the clip down. And then when you have to remove the switch, you don't have to, cut it or throw it away. You just bend it a certain way and it, lets you pull the switch out. So back boxes are a big deal. Then they make everything in keystones, from, single to 8, I believe now, RJ45s, connectors, Cat 6 connectors. I can't tell you how many million Cat 6 connectors we sell annually. And we make the tool to punch them down with. So anything as far as, communications, whether it's audio, video, tele, data, anything, any type of infrastructure product, OnCue probably has it. And it's amazing how much of that stuff actually is sold. It really is.
Well, with the back box, I mean, that's the difference between the professional install and the non-professional install, in hanging up a TV or whatever, so.
Yeah, when I put my TV up, I didn't put a back box because I'm not a professional. Should have had Jared come over.
I would use a back box, Joel.
Exactly.
It's the magic that the end user expects to see if they get back there.
Yeah.
Well, and you're right, Jared. You're absolutely right. That's the expectation when they pay for anybody. When you pay for something, you want it to look good and be functional. And one of the things we never thought would really take as big a hold as it did is the One Connect box from Samsung. That thing is massive, and it actually fits in our 17-inch back box enclosure. So that the One Connect drove back box sales for OnCue because guys didn't want to hide it in the wall or zip tie it to the back of the panel. Because, you got a customer paying for this flat panel TV and they want to get it flat against the wall. Well, you can't do that if you've got an inch thick, brick hanging off the back of it. So Samsung really helped us in that. So thank you, Samsung.
That's actually what I was going to bring up was the One Connect box with that because it, when that first came out, it seemed like we started hearing way more and more about the, the in-wall.
Having to hide it, or
the enclosures.
Yeah, no one builds out artwork, so.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, if you're in sales and you're selling stuff, we used to be, if you sold the panel, when I was in retail, if you sold the panel, you better be asking about the mount, because you want them to buy your mount. Okay, great. Well, then it became, if you sold the panel, you got to get the HDMI cable too. So, I mean, now it's, why aren't we getting the mount, the HDMI cable, the back box, peripherals that go inside the back box? All those attachment dollars can really add up for an integrator because you're not talking a lot of individual dollars, but the sum of them can be a good number, and it's high profit margin for all those guys. So,
well, next up we have something that's kind of new to Davis. I think it's been available to us, but I think we're kind of just picking it up now. Is Vaddio.
Vaddio. So, does anybody know where Vaddio got its name from?
No
idea.
I bet it's fun.
You guys are going to be so mad at yourselves.
What?
Video and audio.
Oh, Vaddio.
Jared, come on.
It's a play on words.
Right? I told you to be mad at yourself.
This episode is full of those.
Yeah, puns, plays on words.
I am nothing if not entertaining.
Is it newer?
Yeah, well, yes and no.
Okay.
It's newer to the residential space.
Okay.
It's been in the commercial space for years. Vaddio got its start. I can't remember the exact date, and now the guys at Vaddio who watch this are going to grill me. But they started doing extenders. And because what was a problem was, these massive long USB extensions, trying to get video and audio signal from cameras back to home base, wherever that was. So they started building extenders for other companies based off Cat 5 and Cat 6 technology, Cat 5 at the time. And then they started building their own cameras and quickly became very popular because their slogan is the art of easy, to the point of with any of their cameras that are all network capable, they come with all the drivers built in for every format that you can imagine. Now, I'm speaking to you through my Mac. Okay, so we're lucky we didn't have issues. I like my Mac a lot, but let's be honest, they've got some quirks. We'll leave it at that. And I plugged in my Vaddio camera when I first got it, and it automatically worked through Teams. I didn't have to do anything. It just defaulted right to it. And that's because of the time and effort that the guys at Vaddio have put into, designing the cameras and making sure that they do go by their motto, which is the art of easy. I tell the story all the time that Vaddio is based out of Eden Prairie, Minnesota, right by Legrand AV's headquarters. But when you look at the Vaddio building, shipping, receiving, warranty, engineers, sales, and let's see, technical are all in the same building. So the entire company's in the same building. And what they've done is the way Luxul used to do it, which is you have your techs and your engineers next to each other. So when the tech guy gets a call that he doesn't know the answer to, the engineer is sitting right there. And also engineer hears that call and goes, hey, what can we do in the next version to make sure we don't have that issue again? So they've been a great company. All their stuff, with the exception of the latest video bar, is TAA compliant. So I am proud to say that I've seen their cameras at the Ohio State University. They're in many, many colleges across the country. They're in a lot of government buildings. And you know, the home office really brought Vaddio to the forefront of the residential space, because now you had high-end executives working from home, and a lot of these high-end companies, especially if they're affiliated with the government, you can't have anything that isn't TAA compliant. They need something better than the camera you go to Best Buy that sits on top of your laptop and use. So that's where kind of Vaddio stepped into the space. What we've seen them really, with the advent of social media, especially YouTube, believe it or not, the Vaddio camera, the quality is there for a lot of these guys that have really high-end channels, you know, and are doing millions and millions of subscribers and doing, you know, big-time revenue. A lot of Vaddio cameras have been used in that format. They can do up to 4 cameras on a board, and you can get a small studio style. We actually saw a demo where they were mimicking what the local news network was doing with the big production cameras. They were doing it with 4 Vaddio cameras.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool.
So that's a good demo.
Yeah, it's an extremely good demo. You know, we'll probably get you guys hooked up with one, I'm sure. You know, so actually, I've already talked about it. But no, the product is great. The installation is extremely easy. The new video bar is a fantastic product. It's much like how kind of Chief went with the Fit cart to bring them into the space of carts that was reasonable. The Vaddio video bar has done the same thing. So it's the only product they don't build in-house, but they designed it and engineered it in-house. And it's got a massively wide field of view. It's got a pan-tilt zoom camera and a video bar, and it comes with the ability to hook up external microphones. So, because a lot of the times what we run into isn't the video image, it's the audio you can't hear because the room's a little larger. And it comes in at an extremely reasonable price point for a good video conferencing solution. So that, you know, isn't available to mass market, I should say. So I think Vaddio is a company that I've watched grow over the last couple of years. So we got it in the resi space, and there's a lot of people out there using it, but it's been highly commercial, and now, you know, we're starting to see it get some real traction in this market.
You know, you mentioned Vaddio being a well-oiled machine as far as a facility and having, you know, all departments, you know, closely intertwined with each other. And in Legrand in general, I think when we contact, or when a dealer contacts any of the Legrand brands, they're getting that sense of close-knit team and good help and feedback from pretty much all the brands under that umbrella. So kudos to that.
I appreciate hearing that. You know, we're not perfect, and we know that. You know, we try, but I think what makes an okay company different from a good company is when a good company screws up, they take care of the problem. And, you know, because that's going to happen. Stuff's going to happen. That happens in everyday life. And, you know, I literally got off a call this morning, a 2-hour call where, and this has been the focus for a while, customer care has been the biggest focus Legrand has had. And I even screamed to the detriment. I'm like, hey, I need this product done on time. And they're like, hey, we're focusing on this, you know, customer care, which I agree needs to be as good as possible. So thank you for the compliment. I hope to continue. I don't get to hear the good stuff. All I do is hear the complaints. So it's nice to hear, you know, there's some good interactions as well.
One thing I did want to ask about, because you mentioned it with Vaddio, and you were kind of talking to me and Nate about it a few weeks ago when we were on the Zoom call, but with the TAA compliance stuff, can I throw out an Easter egg out there to everyone that you might be giving a training through us on the TAA compliance stuff?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Throw the Easter egg out there.
Would a lot of that stuff In your presentation, would Vaddio be covered a lot?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rudy. Thanks for asking that. Good Easter egg. It's like Marvel in here. But yeah, absolutely. So, Chief makes TAA compliant products. Vaddio makes them, and I have a couple different offerings throughout. The Luxul switches are TAA compliant. And that is a big deal now when you get into the light commercial and commercial markets, because that opens it up for funding that and especially in educational and house of worship that just isn't there normally.
And you even said that the Chief cart was TAA compliant, right?
I asked that question.
I was gonna say, like, what? How does that?
Say Chief? I remember saying there was TAA compliance, and I talked about the cart. If I did say that completely, I'm going to double check on that one, just to make certain.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering what might be there for that, but
what would make it TAA?
Well, what would make it have to be? But yeah, I mean, it could be, I guess.
Oh, so I can answer that question.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
What makes a product have to be TAA compliant? Basically, it's a field of use. But what makes a product TAA compliant is a certain percentage of the parts that are in the product actually being manufactured in the United States.
So that does make sense. Yeah.
Yep. So there is a certain percentage of parts that in everything that is TAA compliant that is manufactured here in the U.S.
And what's that? What's that for? That's just because other things manufactured in other countries, it's for safety reasons, or?
No, it is simply because if we are opening up, if the government is going to pay for it with funding, they want to know that it's made here in the U.S.
Okay.
Mainly.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good explanation, because I thought it more had to do with like the technology and everything going into it, the certain electronical parts. So I guess that now I understand it way better.
There's the tinfoil hat theory out there that they don't want anything made in China.
That's kind of what
that's what we're kind of.
That's kind of what I was. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because
the irony of that is some of the Luxul switches we have manufactured in Taiwan, and they're TAA compliant.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they're composed of parts from the U.S.
One question I like to ask, kind of as we wind down on these podcasts, what low-key product do you think dealers should know about that offers them a unique solution, maybe that they can use in everyday installations, or really solves a good solution or a problem, what I mean, that they might commonly find on the job site?
Oh man, we make some darn good zip ties.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I mean, we do, but that's not my problem.
Yeah.
Oh, a low-key product.
Yeah,
Wow.
Maybe something that just sort of flies under the radar, but really solves a great solution or problem for dealers.
Yep, gotcha. And for the life of me, I'm not going to be able to remember this part number, but Jared saw him at the show. It's from OnQ. Okay. It's this little round keyhole insert. Yep. It's 1.5 inch hole saw, and it is either a push-in rubber grommet, a keystone insert, or a snap rubber grommet that allows you, it's just a saver. Instead of cutting a square hole to run one wire, you can literally take 1.5 inch hole saw, pop it, and gone. If you're putting a security camera in a ceiling, you either got to cut a rectangular hole for a box, or at least a cover plate. Well, this, again, hole saw, done. They're just, and I can give you the part numbers on them off the top of my head. Unless Jared, unless you know it.
They're great because you can put several conductors through it. The heads of almost anything fit. Like you said, it's a hole saw away from, having a port wherever you want it.
Yeah, it's clean. It's a good finished look, and I want to say it's like $4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's a very inexpensive. I give a bunch of them to like my distributors just to get them in their hands, because then they see them, and guys, once they use them, get addicted to them, because now they're not, again, I remember my days of integration, and cutting a rectangular hole for, a box is time consuming, and you get dust everywhere. And the problem, every once in a while you get a crooked one. Well, with a round hole saw, it's really hard to mess that one up.
I think we're kind of winding down here, or is there anything else you want to go over?
I'm good, guys.
Okay.
I'm kind of tired of hearing myself talk. So.
Oh, okay. Well, we're not.
You weren't used to that on the radio. You just come in and announce a song and then be off.
Yeah, I very rarely had to do long-winded speeches.
Did you take requests and everything on the radio, like for songs or no?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So you were a straight DJ, like
Mhm.
talking on air, taking calls and everything.
Oh yeah.
You're
Yep.
familiar with 2 for Tuesday, Get the Let Out,
Yeah.
all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Did all that good stuff.
So what kind of music do you prefer?
Oh man, my Spotify list is so screwed up.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite, this is an argument that I won't say argument. This is a good debate topic that I get in with a lot of people because people say, well, who's your favorite concert you went ever to? And I'm like, well, do you mean for like entertainment? Do you mean musically? Because there's difference.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would say my favorite artist probably for the last 10 years has been Kid Rock.
Wow. Awesome.
I did
Oh,
not
maybe
expect
longer than
that.
For how long did you say? 10 years?
Oh, no, longer than that.
Oh, okay.
Because when Ball at the Ball came out, is when I started listening to him. So I guess, God, 25 years now. But I've gone to country concerts this summer. I've gone to, I think my favorite concert of all time was probably Alicia Keys.
Mm. And that
Amazing.
was just because of musicianship, or that was
Yeah,
also
it
because
was
of the show?
her and a piano,
Yeah.
and she is so talented.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stump you with one.
Okay.
All right, my first concert ever. Anybody want to take a guess at this?
Did you give us a year?
Oh God, 1990.
What was it? 1990 what?
90.
1990.
You got it.
Hmm.
You weren't even alive.
I was, but I was only
I was
I
born
was
in
one-
1990.
or I was one-ish.
Yeah.
So
New Kids on the
Yeah.
Block.
Oh man, that's insulting.
I don't know. Nirvana?
That's a good guess. But so my first concert ever was NWA,
Okay.
Too Short, Kwame, Kid and Play, JJ Fad.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
How old
I'm
were
gonna have
you?
to tell Logan about you.
Yeah.
I was 16 at the time. I really just dated myself now. 16 at the time. But so my playlist is from rap to every. I love country. I love rock. I like music.
My first concert was Aerosmith,
That's a damn good first concert.
and I was probably 5 years old.
Okay,
So it was probably
memorable still.
1995. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Joel?
First concert was at a Pirates game, actually, and it was Styx.
Sticks. What about you, Jared?
I have no idea. One of my earliest memories would have been Boss Tones at Vans Warped Tour.
Oh, okay.
So there
The
were a
Mighty
lot of
Mighty
artists
Boss
there, and I
Tones?
wound up with Stitches, so it was a good memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was excellent.
How'd you get stitches?
Nice.
It was from one of those Candies, like 4-inch wooden shoes that girls used to wear, and someone was crowd surfing behind me and got me with her shoe, I guess. So.
Well, before we got on, you were talking about how you like Rusted Root.
Love Rusted Root.
Has that one you've seen?
They're out
live?
of Pittsburgh. No, I've only seen them one time actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I
There's
still like the
a-
Kid Rock thing.
Yeah, that
was a good
that was
one.
actually surprising.
There's so much good live music out there. I would say recently saw Hardy, and if Rednecker Than You, and I mean he's got some great country songs, but his other stuff, it goes from country to death metal in the same song. It reminded me, I guess, a lot of Kid Rock in that way, where he's crossing genres and in the same song. But I like all kinds of music. I like a good performance, man. That's music. I think everybody in some aspect, at least if you've been in this industry for a long time, music has always been a big motivator, a big part of it.
Well,
Yeah.
especially too. I mean, starting off in the 12-volt industry, and you liking Kid Rock. I mean, it all kind of makes sense to me.
He likes Ohio State too, so it
Yeah, Ohio State too. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it just means I have great taste. That's all.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
All right. Well, before we close up here, is there any socials or websites you want to plug for Legrand or any of the brands?
LegrandAV.com.
Okay.
It's got it all. Has everything on there. So that is, you can find us. I'm sure we're on all the socials. I'm not. You can find me on LinkedIn, but that's about it. So yeah, LegrandAV.com has everything we need from both an end user standpoint and integrator standpoint.
Okay. Well, final words. You got the mic. Anything else you want to say?
Thank you very much for the time. I appreciate it. I like what you guys are doing with this format. It's extremely informative, and I think you are on the cutting edge when it comes to social media in this industry. So kudos to you guys.
Well, thank you, sir.
I really do
thank you very
appreciate
much.
it.
Well, we appreciate you guys over there, and we appreciate you coming on, and you can come back anytime. So if there's something new you want to launch and, talk about, we can definitely do that. So
And have
Sounds
fun
good to
in
me.
Pittsburgh. Try to find some sushi.
sorry.
I'm going on to Yelp next.
There you go.
Yeah. Let me think about it, and if I can, I'll email you afterwards.
Perfect.
Okay. All right.
We'll talk to you later, Chris.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Vadios amigos.
Vadios. Really appreciated Chris coming on. I think it was a good episode.
Very informative. Learned a whole lot that, might not have known before.
Anything stuck out to you, Jared? Put you on the spot?
There you go. No, I think it was just a great recap of the whole Legrand umbrella, really.
Mm-hmm. A lot of that stuff they showed at CEDIA.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to see some of this. At
Yeah,
CEDIA.
yeah. A few of the pieces and parts were there. I'm excited to hear and learn about a lot of the Vaddio stuff, especially. That's obviously new to us, so lots to learn there. And I've already got dealers, interested in that line. So.
Okay. Well, perfect. You got anything else, Joe, before we go?
That's episode 8.
That is episode 8. We will catch you guys next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.